Hari Om. Let us chant the first 10 verses of chapter 9. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyamyanasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajñatva mokshyase shubhat raja vidya raja guhyam pavitramidamuttamam pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam ashraddhadhana purushaha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vatmani maya tadamidam sarvam jagadavhyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha nachamastani bhutani pashya me yogamaishvaram bhutabhrinna cha bhutastaha mamatma bhutabhavanaha yatha kashastito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani masthani tyupadharaya sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrajamyaham prakritim swamavashtabhya visrajami punah punaha bhutagramamimam krishnam avasham prakritir vashat nacha mam tani karmani nibhatnanti dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate.
Bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From chapter 7 to chapter 12, the description, the topic is about God. What is God? The relationship between God and the world. That is the subject matter of discussion. And whenever we talk about God, there are three types of gods. In Sanskrit, it's called Ekarupa, Anekarupa, and Arupa. Ekarupa means one form. Anekarupa means many forms. Arupa means no form. And these three can be boiled down to form and formless. Again, these three can be boiled down to further. If you boil it down, it will become two. form and formless. So, Ekarupa, Anekarupa, and Arupa. Rupa means with form. With form means it could be a physical form or an intellectual form, but nevertheless it is a form. Physical form means the murti, the idol. The intellectual form means what we call as Saguna Brahman. All comes under God with form. Distinct and different from this is Arupa. Arupa means formless. In the 7th chapter, he introduced these two as Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti, the lower form and the lower form and the higher form. The lower form is made up of, it could be a physical form or it could be an intellectual concept. It doesn't matter. All comes under forms. Why all comes under forms is because it is perceivable or conceivable by an instrument. If it is perceivable, conceivable by an organ or an instrument, it is called the lower nature. Saguna, Rupa, various names, all means the same thing. For example, there is this shloka, Madhurashtakam, isn't it? Where they talk about Adharam Madhuram, Vadanam Madhuram, Nayanam Madhuram. Everything is Madhuram. Madhuram means everything in him is so beautiful. Rupa there is. It's a Rupa. Only if you can conceive it of a Rupa, you can sing Madhurashtakam. If you don't conceive it of a Rupa, you cannot sing Madhurashtakam. Are able to follow the difference? Therefore, what he does is he brings these two. He says this is the lower form and then this is the higher form. Chapter 9, what we have started studying is a repetition of the same idea of the higher nature of God. The higher nature of God, what is called as Arupa. And then at the end of the 9th chapter, we will find out that it is too difficult to conceive of a God, that Arupa and all is too difficult to comprehend, almost impossible to even comprehend. Therefore, he talks about Rupa. That Rupa in chapter 10, it will be called as Vibhuti Yoga. In chapter 11, it will be called as Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. And then in chapter 12, Arjuna asks the question again. You confused me thoroughly. Because chapter 7 and chapter 9, you spoke about the higher nature. Chapter 10 and 11, you spoke about the form. How should I worship you? Tell me clearly, how should I worship you? Krishna answer is, first start worshipping, then we will see which form to worship. First start worshipping. That is where we are is, we should start worshipping. Even after then only comes whether it is with form or without form and all, doesn't make any difference, where the person hasn't even started worshipping or worshipping the wrong things. It's not that we are not worshipping, but we are worshipping the wrong things. Therefore, he says, shift the focus. This is the broad sequence of chapter 7 to chapter 12. In chapter 9 that we are currently studying, he said, I will give you knowledge, I will give you wisdom, and unless you have Shraddha, you can never know what I am teaching. For all other teachings, you don't need Shraddha. For what I am teaching, you need Shraddha. The fundamental difference between all other teachings and scriptural teaching is all other teachings doesn't require Shraddha. All that you got to do is what? study, ask questions, understand, and you can move on. You don't need to have Shraddha. Here, what is required? Shraddha is required. Therefore, in verse number 3, he didn't speak about Shraddha, he spoke about Ashraddha Dana. People who don't have Shraddha, what happens? What happens to them? Having said all that, where we started last week is the very important set of verses from 4 to 10. From 4 to 10, what we are going to study, the important set. What he said in verse number 4 that we started last week, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadam jagad avyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitah. Idam. Idam means this. Isavasyamidam sarvam. He said that wherever the Shastras uses the word idam, it means this, and this refers to the world. And whenever they use the word tat, when they say this refers to the world, that refers to Brahman. They will not say world and Brahman. They will only say this and that. They don't know how to communicate properly, I think. Instead of directly saying that means this means world is. Why they do that? Now we can't go and ask them. No, they are gone. So we try to. They are gone. So we try to understand what they are saying. Moving from known to the unknown. That's all. This is known. The world is known. From the known world, you segregate a few things from the known world, you will get to the unknown God. So what do you do? In the known world, you segregate. What you segregate is what is going to teach from verse to 10, from 4 to 10. So idam means this world. In this world, Maya, by me, I pervade this entire Jagat. In what form? Avyakta Murti. Murti means form. Vyakta Murti means manifested form. Avyakta Murti means unmanifested form. So he says, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. So, wherever Krishna says Maya, you have to be very clear. In which form, what form he is referring to? Is he referring to Ekarupa, or he is referring to Aneka Rupa, or he is referring to Arupa? What is he referring to? We all know the answer already. He is referring to Arupa. He is not referring to Ekarupa, which is the physical form. Neither is he referring to Anekarupa, various forms. What he means is Arupa. How do you understand that? He himself says it clearly by saying Avyakta Murti. I am not the Vyakta Murti, I am the Avyakta Murti, the unmanifest form, which is what we gave the example. Rama Murti, Krishna Murti is Vyakta Murti. He says, I belong to the Avyakta Murti. This is very clear. No problems. Up to this, we don't have a problem. We know this already. And then he goes on to the second sentence, which is where the actual knowledge is. Matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshva vastitaha. All beings dwell in me. I do not dwell in them. All beings dwell in me. I do not dwell in them. Meaning, you are in me. I am not in you. See, normally, both goes together, isn't it? Normally, in the normal sense, how does it always happen? You can't say one is inside and the other is not, isn't it? But then what he is saying is, you are, all beings dwell in me. Okay. Instead of taking it as all beings, take it as you. You dwell in me. Means you are dependent on me. I do not dwell in you. You are dependent on me. I am not dependent on you. This is where we take a different angle of analysis. When the first statement says, the world is in me, that statement can mislead a person to understand the duality. The supporter, supported. Carefully follow. Each and everything is very, very important, because this 4 and 5 is very important. From 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is more of an explanation of 4 and 5. So pay some attention to 4 and 5. And don't worry, if you don't pay attention, he's going to restart again in another chapter. Till you get brainwashed, he's not going to leave. The advantage, earlier you pay attention, later on becomes much beautiful. Later on it becomes very, very inspiring to read what he says later. So when he says, I am the supporter, duality comes in. What is the duality? The supporter and supported. In the Bhashya, Shankara gives this beautiful example. When you say, water is in the vessel, what do you understand? When you say water is in the vessel, there are two things. One is the vessel and the other is the water. It is the vessel that supports the water. It means what is established here? There are two things, supporter and supported. One set of philosophers take this angle of explanation and say, the Lord has said it very clearly that I am the supporter and world is the supported. We say, no. You should not take it literally. You should take it figuratively. If you take it literally, duality is established. Idella konja technical. Ram Subramaniam. Idella konja technical discussions idella. Holocaust of attachment is an easy discussion, isn't it? You can make some fun. You can do something very entertaining. It is, but this is more of a serious. This is more of a serious study. So, the supporter should not be taken literally, figuratively. How do you understand that? Another example is given. What is the example? It is not like the vessel supporting the water. It is like the gold supporting the ornament. Simple examples they take. But the point is conveyed very beautifully. It is not like the vessel supporting the water. It is like the gold supporting the ornament. When you say it is the gold supporting the ornament, seemingly there is two. In essence, there is only one. It looks like there are two. Gold ring. When you say gold ring, it looks like there is the gold and then there is the ring. Figuratively, it looks like a two. On deeper scrutiny, on deeper understanding, you say there is only one. Are you okay till now? Today it's going to be a tougher session for first half of the session. After second half of the session, we will make it. We will get distracted. Then we will make it light. So when you say supporter, supported, invariably supported brings in the concept of duality. It is not like, so how to make you understand that it is not the supported? Without an example, it is difficult to comprehend. Therefore, what he did, he gives another example. What is the example? The other example is like the gold supports the ornaments. No. It's not like gold supporting ornament. Okay, first you say, correct. Again, carefully follow how they beautifully develop the thought flow. First you say, correct. It's like gold supporting the ornament, not like the vessel supporting the water. You get some clarity, no? Isn't it? See, again, he'll say, wait. Don't rush into conclusion. Don't shake your head so fast and all. It is not like the gold supporting the ornament. It is like the rope supporting the snake. So that's all. After that, you will switch off, isn't it? After that, you can't continue further. So first he says, beautiful thought flow. Even if you forget all these, remember these three examples, you will remember the entire concept. That's why I'm repeating it again. Water supporting the, vessel supporting the water, gold supporting the ornament, rope supporting the snake. Each and every example takes your understanding to a subtler layer. Are you able to follow? So, what is the difference between gold and ornament and rope and snake? In gold and ornament, it looks like the gold has become the ornament. In the golden ornament, it is like the gold has turned into the, even though there are no two things. Well, what are the two things that isn't there? Gold and ornament. It is not gold and ornament. It is gold as ornament. A simple grammatical, it becomes very clear, isn't it? It's not gold and gold as ornament. So, really speaking, there are no ornaments separate from gold. But again, it doesn't communicate it completely in the way that they want to communicate. What is it? It doesn't communicate completely in the way that they want to communicate. Looks like the gold turned into an ornament. So you can go back saying, God has become the world. That's why one set of people say, no, God, what is this world? Everything in this world is God. As though just as the gold has turned into ornament, God has turned into world. Oh, correct. That is also correct, sir. Everything looks correct, no, to us. We really don't know what is correct and what is right, what is we get very. Then he corrects that also and says, no, it's not like that. It's like the rope and the snake. Even though the rope supports the snake, the rope doesn't become the snake. You are in me, I am not. You are in me, I am not in you. The rope is telling the snake, you are in me. But then the second part also has to be very clearly explained. What is the second part that has to be clearly explained? I am not in you. First number 4 is over. Right. 3, like water, vessel and water, gold and ornament, rope and snake. In the order of subtlety, you keep it. In the order of subtlety, you keep it. It becomes very, very clear. Where a person is very, in the initial stage of spiritual evolution, the person always believes God is the supporter, like the vessel supports the water. In fact, after coming to these Vedanta classes, hearing these Vedanta classes for decades also, we will still go back under the same example. What is the example? Water and vessel and water. Sir, still, but after we go out and all, it doesn't work like that. What I say in this class, I forget when I go to the next class, isn't it? And then Kolatur will ask, sir, in the morning class, you said, I'm thinking now, what did I say in the morning class? I don't remember anyway. So if you want to ask anything, ask now only. Water, vessel and water. This is at the very early stages of spiritual evolution, where we see God is the supporter. And then we mature into the thinking saying God is not the supporter. Everything is God. Beautiful state it is. Everything is God. And then Krishna is coming and saying, wait. Don't get carried away by this. For I am the Avyakta Murti. How can you justify all these explanations? You have to justify all these explanations. No. How can you justify all this? Because he has said Avyakta Murti in the form that is not perceivable, conceivable. Now, how do you understand the form that is not perceivable and conceivable? Another analysis has to be done for this. Another analysis has to be done. That's why we say Vedanta is very scientific, very rational, very logical. Because for each and everything, there is one big elaboration, one big explanation. You can't refute it. You can't accept it either. You really don't know what to do. You can't refute it. At the same time, you can't even accept it. So what is this Avyakta Murti? From another angle, how to understand this? Carefully follow now. In every cognition, you see there are two things. In every knowledge, there are two things that is happening. In all cognition, there are two things. In all knowledges, there are two things. One is the knowledge of the object. Another is the knowledge of the isness, existence. So there are two things. One is the knowledge of the object. Another is the knowledge of the existence. Just as in every perception, you see the object and the light. If you see the hand, you are not seeing the hand only. You are seeing the hand plus light, isn't it? When you see the table, you are seeing the table plus light. What is buddhi now? What is right knowledge? What is right understanding? Knowing to segregate these two is right understanding. Knowing to segregate these two is what we call as the right knowledge. If you get carried away by the object, your focus turns to the object. That is called extroversion. In every perception, in every knowledge, you can be an extrovert, you can be an introvert. Extrovert means when your attention is on the object. Introvert means when your attention is on the existence. And that existence is Avyakta Murti. How can you say the existence is Avyakta Murti? The tree is, the wood is, the table is, correct? In everything, there is. Isness comes and adds. The book is. When you say the book is, when you say the table is, when you say I am, what are you referring to? When you say, just take one thing, the book is. Does the book come first and then existence comes later, or the existence is there which is seen as the book? It's a debate. This is Vedanta inquiry. Ram Subramanian. இது வேதாந்தனா நாங்க வந்திருக்கவே மாட்டோம் சார். இல்லையா? If this is what we thought Vedanta means, we wouldn't have come for all these classes. Isn't it? Now, again I repeat, beautiful analysis. 4 and 5 we will do this. Again from 6 he will start giving examples and he will water it down. And wherever he gives important messages, we take some time to, he's giving us a chance to go into all this analysis. By him giving this chance, he's giving us a chance to show off what all we know show off in the verses is helpful. Otherwise, how can we prove that I know so much? Again, when we say the book is, did the book come first and then the existence came, or existence is seen as a book? Ram Subramanian, what is the answer? Existence is there, and that existence is seen as the book. Existence is there, is seen as the book. Existence is there, is seen as the table. Existence is there, is seen as the tree. Existence is there, is seen as the wood. Existence is there, is seen as the table. The tree is different, the wood is different, the table is different. What is common to all that? That Sat, that existence. Do you see that existence? You can never see the existence. You can only see the. Have you ever seen existence? You can't. It's like saying, have you ever seen light? You can't. But then the presence of the object proves the light. The very fact that you are seeing something is the proof of the light. The very fact that you are seeing the book is the proof of the existence. Therefore, the book is what you see, the existence is what you don't see. That existence is Avyakta Murti. Therefore, that existence is called Avyakta Murti. Therefore, he is right in the statement. What is the statement? Existence is telling that existence is telling the book now. What is existence telling the book? You are in me. I am not in you. Meaning, you cannot exist without me. I can exist without you. It's very simple. It's not complicated at all. It's very, very simple to understand. After making it so simple also, we don't understand. That's a different, clear. That's a different state. So, existence is telling the book. What is it telling the book? You are in me, I am not. You are in me and I am not in you. Now make it into plural. All the world, all beings, all the worlds dwell in me. I do not dwell in them. Everything dwells in me. I do not dwell in them. So it means what? Three important statements has been made in verse number 4. What are the three important statements? I pervade the entire world in unmanifest form is statement number 1. I pervade the entire world in what form? In the unmanifest form. Like we saw the example last week. Like butter pervades the milk in the unmanifest form. Statement number 2. The world is in me because I am the substratum. I am the substratum. I am the hadara. I am the supporter. Therefore, the world is in me. Statement number 3. I am not in the world is in me, but I am not in the world. How can he disown like that so completely? Because if he says the world is in me, he can say I exist apart from the world also, but he has to accept world is in him, no? Isn't it? Okay, maybe the thumb is not me, but then the thumb is part of me. So he should have said the world is part of me, but then he is completely disowning. How is he disowning? The world is in me. I am not in the world. How to reconcile these? He makes statements, we have to sit and reconcile it. He only makes statements. How do you reconcile that? What is the nature of the Jagat? What is the nature of Jagat? Birth, growth, disease, decay, death. In fact, it is 6. Born, stabilizes, grows, undergoes modifications, decays, perishes. This is what the world is. Jayate, asti, vartate, viparinimate, apakshiyate, vinashyati. This is what the Jagat is. First, it comes into existence. Having come into existence, it establishes, it stabilizes. Having stabilized, it grows. And when it grows, it goes through various modifications. And then at some point of time, it starts decaying and finally perishes. If he says, world is part of me, it means one part of him goes through all this. Are you able to follow? If he says, if you accept world as part of God, whatever happens to world will happen to him. It means what? Birth, growth, disease, decay, death. A part of Brahman also goes through birth, growth, disease, decay, and death. No. It doesn't happen like that. How do you say that? He's already explained it in chapter 2. This is already explained in chapter 2. Najayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita na bhuyah Ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. In verse number 20 of chapter 2, he said it very clearly. What? It is ajaha, it is nityaha, it is shashvataha, it is puranaha, nahanyate hanyamane sharire. When the world perishes, nothing happens. It's not a part of Brahman perishes. Even when it perishes, nothing happens to him. He is not killed when the body is killed. Having said that already, therefore, what does it mean? I am not present in the world means the changes that is happening in the world, you should not infer that some changes happen in Brahman also, because you cannot have a Jagat without changing. How to understand that? Segregate the two. What is the segregation? The existence and the Nama Rupa. Segregate the two. In every perception, in every thought, segregate the two. In every thought, segregate the two. What is the two? The thought and the enlivener of the thought. In every object, segregate the Nama Rupa and Sat. This constant practice is called Nididhyasana. This constant awareness at the background that keeps happening is called Nididhyasana. Changes happen to that which is perceived. Changes do not happen to that which is the real. It means the perceived is not real. That which is behind it is real. You go for a movie and the screen says, I am going for an interval break. What will happen? Raj, example purida. You go for a movie. Everything can take a break. One thing that can never take a break is the screen. If the screen says, I am going for an interval break, what will happen? But whatever happens in the movie doesn't happen to the screen. It's burning. The screen doesn't burn. It's wet. It's raining. The screen doesn't get wet. Earthquake, nothing happens to the screen. So everything is happening because of the screen, but nothing touches the screen. Everything is happening because of the screen, but nothing touches the screen. It means all that you see is go through these modifications. The screen supporting all this doesn't go through any modifications, also doesn't get affected by what is happening. What is the law? Remember the law now. This is the law. When something is superimposed, the substratum is untouched by the superimposition. This is the basis. On this law only we are bringing up all this analysis. What is the law? When something is superimposed, the substratum is untouched by the superimposition. Gold and ornament, you cannot call it a superimposition. Rope and snake is what is called a superimposition. So, first he says, there is the world. Carefully follow. How he is going through the... First he says, there is the world. And then he says, I am the supporter of the world. And then he says, the world is a superimposition. That's the 3 example to make it simple. Water and vessel and water, gold and ornament, rope and snake. The snake can never touch the rope, isn't it? It can be a quiet snake. It can be a it can be a sleeping snake, or it can be a snake that is ready to strike. It may be dangerous. It may be fearsome. What? The rope. Sorry, the snake. Does any of this happen to the rope? And yet without the rope, none of this can happen. Another example, desert and water. For superimposition, there are various examples you can give. Desert and water, the post and the ghost. But all these examples are, it's all, all these examples are good, but, it doesn't really convey the point. It doesn't really convey. Gaudapada in the Mandukya Karika says, are you awake? Gaudapada in the Mandukya, he will ask you, are you awake? Palatur, are you awake? Yes, clearly. Enlightenment, are you awake na? Or Zoom nadagudhu, somebody is blabbering something in front. You are? Are you awake? Yes, you are awake. You had a dream? You had a dream? Yes, that's all. What are you talking about? Superimposition, can't understand. Rope and snake and all is too much too. Rope and snake looks like a story. Post and ghost looks like a story. This desert and mirage looks like a story. All these very good examples, but doesn't really touch, sir. Gaudapada in the Mandukya takes it to the highest level, and then he says, you are awake, no? Of course, yes. It means definitely you would have dreamt. That's all superimpositions. That waker and dream world superimposition concept touches you very close. Rope and snake teaches you theoretically. Waker and dream teaches you from your own experience. So rope and snake teaches you conceptually. Waker and dream teaches you from your own experience. What does it teach? It is superimposition. What was superimposition? Whatsoever happened in the dream is very meaningful. Everything happened only to the dreamer, isn't it? Transaction doesn't happen between two levels of reality. This is the law. Just as we say, when something is superimposed, the substratum is untouched by the superimposition. That is one law of logic. Another law of logic is transaction cannot happen between the substratum and the superimposition. No transaction can happen between the substratum and the superimposition. What do you mean no transaction can happen between the substratum and the superimposition? What do you mean by that? If you are thirsty in the dream thirst can be quenched by Vijay, Soluba. The dream thirst can be quenched only by dream water, isn't it? As a waker, you kept water by the bedside, isn't it? Everybody goes to sleep with water, no? Bedside, they keep water. You should not keep water because you should not wake up, no? You keep water. Don't do all this. Keep water. I really don't know what you do. So there may be a water by the bedside, but the bedside water of the waker cannot quench the thirst of the dreamer. It means what? There can never be a transaction, there can never be a connection, there can never be an association between the superimposition and the substratum. Therefore, Krishna is perfectly correct when he says, I pervade the world is in me, and I am not in the world. Maya tatamidam sarvam mastani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu vastitaha. These are the three statements. Somehow we convinced what Krishna is saying is correct. And he should have simply kept quiet with this, no? Yeah, he should have simply kept quiet with this, isn't it? He doesn't do that. He brings in another complication in verse number 5. He brings in another complication. We will read that verse also, and then we will read how to reconcile. Verse number 5.
Nachamastani bhutani pashya me yogameshwaram bhutabhranna cha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha nachamastani bhutani pashya me yogameshwaram Bhutabhranna cha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha.
Nor do beings dwell in me. Behold my divine yoga. Bringing forth and supporting beings, myself does not dwell in them. Again, verse number 5. Nor do beings dwell in me. Behold my divine yoga. Pashyame yogamaishwaram. Bhutabhranna cha bhutastaha. Bringing forth and supporting beings, myself does not dwell in them. We are having a problem now. Previously he said, the world is in me. I am not in them. Isn't it? Water and vessel, no, ropan snake, and golden ornaments, and there cannot be a connection between the two levels of, there cannot be an interaction between the substratum and the superimposition, all the whatever stories we spoke. Now he is saying what? Nachamatstani bhutani. Nor do beings in reality exist in me. Now we have to explain that also, connecting to what he said in the previous verse. Pashyame yogameshwaram. We have justifications for everything he says. Don't worry. Some logic we are going to come up with. Pashyame yogameshwaram. Behold my divine yoga. Bhutabhranna cha bhutastaha. I bring forth. Either you say very clearly that I have no, either you clearly say I have no connection. They are not in me, I am not in them. Say that very clearly, there is no confusion. Previously he says they are in me, I am not in them, and then you say they are not in me also. And then what is he saying? I bring them out, I take them back. That's why we should not study Bhagavad Gita and all, sir. He himself doesn't know. himself seems so contradictory, looks like he doesn't know what he's actually trying to say. This is the confusion. Lord pervades the whole world. Clear. Rope pervades snake. Everything is the Lord. Snake is in the rope. Correct. Lord is untouched by the world. Rope is untouched by the snake poison, etc. Because even when you are seeing the snake and you touch the rope, you will not get poisoned because rope doesn't have poison. Statement number 4. Now what is he saying? The God is not in the universe of objects and beings. Sir, it doesn't look like a confusion at all. It looks so clear, so clear. Where seems to be the confusion? The highest thought here is where is the snake in the rope? Are you able to follow? Where is the snake in the rope? What is the answer? There is no snake. But there is a snake that is coming, but there is a snake that came out, and there is a snake that dissolved back. That is my divine yoga. That is because of the divine yoga. And the divine yoga is called Maya. The divine yoga is called Maya. That is because of Maya. The snake coming in, the snake coming out and going back is because of Maya. What is Maya? The definition of Maya. This is the definition of Maya. That which you experience but doesn't exist is Maya. What is the definition of Maya? That which you experience but doesn't have any existence. How can there be something that you experience but doesn't exist? Is there a thing like that? Is there a possibility like that? Yes. Blue sky. Is there a sky? Is the sky blue? Sunrise. Does the sun rise? Sunset. Does the sun set? Though you experience the sunrise, though you experience the sunset, there is no sunrise or sunset. But you see a sunrise and sunset because of what? That's because of Maya, one word. Clear. When they don't know how to answer, they will simply say Maya, and Maya itself is the answer. Are you able to follow? When they give Maya as the answer, that's the most extraordinary answer that they can come up. Behold my divine yoga. Pashyame yogamaishwaram. Divine yoga. What is it? The divine yoga here should not be interpreted as huge. Yoga generally is defined as the huge, the union and all that. Here divine yoga means Maya. And why does he have to call it as divine? Because it is coming from the divine. It is divine because it is coming from Brahman. Where does Maya come from? To put it very simply, the presence of the rope gives rise to the possibility of the snake. Are you able to follow? Just the presence of the rope gives rise to the possibility of the snake. Doesn't mean wherever there is a rope, a snake will come out of it. Wherever there is a rope, a snake will not come out of it. But the very presence of the rope gives rise to the possibility of the snake. It means the snake never comes out of the rope. The snake comes out only when you don't see the rope as the rope. Correct? The snake comes out when the rope, if the rope can give birth to a snake, it will become a snake by itself and it will dissolve by itself. Correct? But then you go and tell the rope, I saw a snake. The rope will say, what will the rope say? If you tell the rope, I saw a snake, what will the rope say? Abdinna? Snake means, why are you talking about a thing that doesn't exist? How can you talk about the thing that doesn't exist? But then there is the world, no sir. Rope and snake is okay. But then there is the world. There is the world. And we are all suffering because of it. How do you solve the problem of the suffering of the world? What is a Vedantic way of solving the suffering? Ravi. The Vedantic way of solving the suffering of the world is by understanding there is no world. Vedantic way of solving the problem is, now what is the Vedantic way of solving the problem from this? Venkatachalam. By understanding there is no problem. That's all. As long as you see a problem, there can never be a solution to the problem. So what is the Vedantic way of solving any problem or all problems? The Vedantic way of solving the problem is by saying, no problem. But problem irukkude, sir. You are saying there is no problem. But I am seeing a problem. No. Don't you know this? Don't you know the basic law? Just because you are experiencing it doesn't mean it's there. You are caught now. No, you are suffocated now. You feel like saying, somewhere you are cheating, isn't it? Somewhere in this whole analysis, somewhere you are cheating, sir. And logically you are not able to find out where you are cheating. But somewhere there's the cheating. What is the cheating? Instead of solving the problem, Vedanta says there is. The Vedantic way of solving the problem is what? By saying there is no problem in the first place. Yeah. This is the classic Vedanta. This is pure Vedanta. This is classic Vedanta. If you try to solve the problem, means you have accepted that there is a problem. You have accepted that there is a problem and you have accepted there is a world. And when you try to solve all this, what will happen? One solution will create. Now are you able to connect? Naranji. You accept the world, you accept the problem, and you bring a solution to the problem. What will happen? That solution becomes another problem. Insanity this is, isn't it? Actually, this is insane. But then insanity looks like sanity. Now what to do? Isn't it? Insane looks like. And what is Vedantic way? The classic Vedantic way. There is no There is no world. But I am experiencing it, no. Always remember this. Just because you are experiencing it doesn't make it real. If you can understand this, you will become a sannyasi. You will become a vairagya. You would have developed. you would have become. You would have reached a very high level of understanding of what life is. If you understand this, what? As you are experiencing it, you understand that it's not there. How do you say it is not there? On deeper scrutiny, you understand it is not there. Even though superficially looks like it is there, on deeper scrutiny, you understand that it is not there. That's why in Vedanta, we try to see as deep as we can. And we try to go as deep as we can and try to understand, is there anything that is existing? Is there anything that is existing? The moment you accept the world as real, you have infinite problems. What are the infinite problems? The moment you accept the world as real, you have infinite problems. What are the infinite problems you have the moment you accept the world as real? When did it come? Why did it come? Who created it? For what? For what purpose? How do we make all these unanswerable questions comes only when you accept the existence. Krishna, in few places in Bhagavad Gita, he touches the Upanishadic heights. These two verses, he's touching that height. That's why we are trying to make it, we are trying to understand it like that. What is that level? Only when you accept the reality of it, it exists. The moment you say it doesn't exist, இல்லாத பிரச்சனை எதுக்குப்பா சால்வ் பண்றீங்க? Correct? Are you able to follow? You should have a problem, you should have a real problem, and then you should try and solve it. You should have a real problem, and then you should try and solve it. But the reality is what? There is no problem. When you when you say there is no problem, what are you actually saying? When you say there is no problem, you are actually saying there is no world. Now you go step by step by step. Are you able to follow how this knowledge is taking you step by step by step? Chandrashaka Nyaya. The methodology is Chandrashaka Nyaya. Step by step by step, it will be taken. Straight away to say the world doesn't exist doesn't help you in any way. Even though it is the truth. Even though it is the truth, it doesn't help you in any way. That's why truths don't help you in any way. So you have to accept the lie first. First, you have to accept the lie. What is the lie? I love you. It's a lie. You accept it. In turn, you say another lie. What is it? In turn, what do you say? I love you too. Yeah, first a lie, and the second becomes a greater lie. Yeah? Doesn't make any sense. Therefore, what do? First, you accept the lie. That is moving from known to the unknown. This is called moving from known to the unknown. What is moving from the known? Yes, there is the world. the moment you say there is the world, you have to bring in a creator, isn't it? Because the world is the created, and definitely there has to be a creator. And who's the creator? You can say nature, you can say God. Okay, we say God is the creator. Karana karya. Cause and effect. God is the creator. Next morning you wake up, God is the creator, makes the problem more complicated now. What is the complication if you say God is the creator? Why can't he create an ideal world where why can't he create an ideal world where the tiger is also happy, the deer is also happy? Correct? Everybody should be happy. Well, he should have created an ideal world. What is an ideal world? In the ideal world, the tiger also will be. The tiger also should be happy, and the deer also should be happy. Isn't it? Salt merchant also should be happy. The farmer also should be happy. Correct. At different periods of time or at the same time? Raj, at different periods of time or at the same time? What will be your answer? At the same time, everybody should be happy. This doesn't seem to happen in reality. God as the creator comes down, isn't it? The conviction that God is the creator. Because what is your God? Who is your God? Compassionate, loving, forgiving, isn't it? Compassionate, loving, forgiving God. No. Then he says, no. I only support it. I only support it. Correct. Next morning you wake up, supporter creates another problem. What is the problem that the supporter creates? What is the problem that the supporter creates? Responsibility. He is responsible. How to take that out now? How to take that out now? Krishna is washing his hands off our problems. In one statement, Krishna is saying, I have nothing to do with your problems. How is he washing his hands off your problems? How is he washing his hands off? By saying, there is no problem. But I'm experiencing it now. But I'm experiencing it now. Your experience is not the proof of existence. Your experience is not the proof of permanency. Remember that. Just because you are experiencing something doesn't mean it exists. Just because you are experiencing something doesn't mean it is permanent. How would you categorize this experience then? Are you able to follow? How would you categorize this experience? Technically, it's called Maya. In this verse, he's calling it as divine yoga. In this verse, he's calling it as divine yoga. Yogam Aishwaram. Look at this divine yoga. In ignorance, we see the world. In knowledge, we see Brahman. Remember, in every perception, you can see two things. In every knowledge, there are two things. Ignorance is, the Nama Rupa part is the ignorance. The Sat part is knowledge. In every perception, in every knowledge, there are two things. One is the Nama Rupa knowledge of the object. Another is the existence aspect of it. Are you okay? இதெல்லாம் the Vedanta theory of perception it becomes easy to follow. If you have studied those portions of theory of perception, how cognition happens, how these two things exist in everything, what is understood here is we have that basic knowledge. It is understood that we have this basic knowledge, and if you don't have it, doesn't matter, we will keep explaining it. You know it, but you have forgotten it, but we will keep refreshing the memory, isn't it? Therefore, in every knowledge, there are two things. What are the two things? The knowledge of an apple. When you say the knowledge of the apple, when you say this is apple, take the statement, this is an apple. In that knowledge that this is an apple, there are two knowledges. What are the two knowledges in that? One kind of knowledge is the Namarupa knowledge of the apple. What is the Namarupa knowledge of the apple? The attributes, the qualities. And that Namarupa knowledge of the apple in Vedanta, we call it as ignorance. Are you able to understand now what we call as ignorance? Ignorance is also a kind of knowledge, but the wrong knowledge. So ignorance is not knowing. Ignorance is the knowledge of Nama Rupa and taking that to be real. What is knowledge now? So the Nama Rupa knowledge is called ignorance. You say the apple is, isn't it? That is, that Sat part of it. In English, it's called isness. The Sanskrit word for it is Sat, existence. So that existence is the knowledge. Yogam Aishwaram. What is this Yogam Aishwaram? Two incompatible things seems to be together. That is yoga. Divine yoga. Are you able to follow? Divine yoga, because two incompatible things. What are the two incompatible things that is coexisting? The waker's water is quenching the dreamer's thirst. That's the Maya. Are you able to follow? What is Maya now? The waker's water is quenching the dreamer's thirst. Is it possible? It's not possible. But I experienced it, sir. It is not possible. But your argument is what? But I'm experiencing it. No. Where you take your experience as the ultimate standard. If you take your experience as a standard, you are called an atheist, materialist. The moment you start questioning your experience, you become spiritual. If you take your experience as the ultimate proof of everything, that person is called an atheist. He's an atheist because for him, his experience is the ultimate proof. Whatever logic you give, next week I'm going to come up with some more logic to explain these two verses again from a different angle. How much ever you can shout on top of your voice doesn't make any difference. Why? Because your proof is அனுபவிக்கிறவங்களுக்கு தான் சார் தெரியும். உங்களுக்கு என்ன ஈஸியா பேசுறீங்க. Only when you experience it, you know it. Correct? Only when you experience it, you know it. Where does Vedanta start? That which is obviously real Where there is no need for questioning, Vedanta starts there. What is so real? Your experience is so real. இதுல கொஸ்டின் பண்றதுக்கு, இன்வெஸ்டிகேட் பண்றதுக்கு, கன்க்ளூட் பண்றதுக்கு என்ன இருக்குது? Because it is already real. Vedanta starts. Where does it start? Yes, because you are experiencing it doesn't mean it is real. Just because you are experiencing it doesn't mean it is permanent. For experience gives you two misunderstandings. What are the two misunderstandings? It is there and it is permanent. Even this shall pass away, take the permanency part. But only Vedanta can come and say, only Vedanta comes and says, it doesn't exist. That's why even they shall pass away, philosophy, it's easy to accept. Correct? That's junior level student. Elementary level of Vedanta student philosophy, that is, even they shall pass away and all that. Here we are all advanced students. Yeah, Shankar. We have matured from the Konar notes and we have become the advanced students now. And in the advanced student stage, what you should say? First, let us see, is there a problem? And then we will try to solve it. Don't take it for intellect is that which doesn't take things for granted. Intellect is that which doesn't take things for granted. What is it that is taken for granted? That there is a problem. That there is a problem. That there is the world and it has to be sorted out. It has to be sorted out. It has to be sorted out, sir. We have to go to Harvard to study. We have to go to Stanford to study. Where all we have to go to study to solve the problem that doesn't exist. That's why Bhagavad Gita has the gradations. Mudatma, Pramudatma, Vimudatma. Gradations of foolishness. BSc, MSc, PhD, isn't it? BSc, MSc, PhD. Similarly, Mudatma, Pramudatma, special category, clear. First you become a doctor, and then you become a specialist, and then you become a super specialist. First you become a fool, and then you become a specialist in fool. First you become a fool, and then you become a specialist in foolishness, and then you become a super specialist. All in what? One subject. Subject doesn't change, only one subject. What subject? Foolishness only. Therefore, when he says, the world doesn't, nor do beings dwell in me, bringing forth and supporting beings, myself does not dwell in them. But all this is happening because of what? That's because of my yogam aishwaram, because of my divine yoga. In 7th chapter, he would call it as prakriti. Here he is calling it as divine yoga. Elsewhere, he will call it as yoga maya. If you remember, we have studied all these words. Yoga maya. It is because of prakriti. Now he is using the word divine yoga. Different words he is using to repeat the same concept. Why? That much of drilling in needs to be done. That much of pile driving needs to be done. What is the pile driving that needs to be done? To take that which doesn't exist. First, you accept the snake and then talk about the snake and then give guidelines to handle the snake. Are you okay now? With this, I'll conclude. First, you accept the snake and then you give guidelines also. Clear? How to handle the guidelines. For what? The non-existing snake guidelines you have to give. And then you come back. Whatsoever solution you bring, problem is reappearing again and again and again. After that, you will say, Va Raja, Va. Now only you have come to the real question. Now only you have come and asking the real question. What is the real question? Why is it reappearing again and again and again? That is because the fundamental thing is still there in you. What? Mudatma, Pramudatma, Vimudatma. You are solving a problem that which isn't there. Pashyame yogamaishwaram, bhuta brunnacha bhutastaha, mamatma bhuta bhavana. Very important verse, verses 4 and 5. From verse 6 onwards, he will start giving some examples to elaborate what he has said. So 4 and 5 is very, very important. And don't think we have concluded. I have some more stories to say on 4 and 5. Next week, some more little bit more stories. And then we will move on to verse number 6 onwards. We'll quickly take up some clarifications.
Mala has posted a question. Venkatachalam Puneet Ramaswamy.
Posted. Puneet. Can we say the right way of living is then to understand this is dream? Do we get the experience of waking up at the time of death? Continue to do objectively what is required in the dream with this knowledge? Puneet. First question. Can we say the right way of living is then to understand this is dream? Yes. The right way of living is to call everything as temporary. Don't say it as non-existence. First say it as temporary. Once you have digested that this is temporary, then you are matured enough to understand it as non-existent. So stage number 1, temporary. Stage number 2, non-existent. Do we get the experience of waking up at the time of death? Puneet, you don't get the experience of it at the time of death. At the time of death, you are ready to go to from one dream, you are ready to go to another dream. Waking up happens only because of knowledge and understanding. 3, continue to do objectively what is required in the dream with this knowledge. That is the sadhana. What you are saying as the third statement is the sadhana. What is the sadhana? Continue to do what you got to do objectively with this knowledge. What is the knowledge? That it is level 1 temporary, level 2 doesn't exist. Level 1 temporary, level 2 doesn't exist. Now, this is for Puneet. I'm quickly going through all this because next week also we are going to continue with this. Some more. Mala. Regarding understanding about the existence rather than an object, do you mean to say I don't know what happened, suddenly it went away. Regarding understanding about the existence rather than an object, do you mean to say that which makes it available to our perception or to our knowledge is existence? Yes, you can say that. Mala, you can say that. Sometimes you say the right thing also. And by error, and by mistake, she said this. Not because she understood it, by mistake, she also says the right thing sometimes. The above knowledge will surely help me to stay away from the problems created by the object. Correct. This is Mala. Clear? This is where Mala comes. However, clear. However means but. But how to resolve those problems? Should I leave the problems to resolve by itself? Which is my dharma? Correct. Mala. You don't resolve the problem, you do your duty. That is your dharma. That which ought to be done, you do. That's all. Problem gets resolved or does it exist and all is not of your concern. All that you got to do is what? In every situation, at every stage in life, in every situation that you are placed in, do what is your duty, and that's it. That's your dharma. You follow, Mala? Venkatachalam, what is your problem?
No, my question I have about the dream world and the waker's world. I wake up from my dream world.
Yes.
I continue to live in my ignorance. What has prompted me to change is not knowledge.
I missed you in between.
No, I wake up from my dream world.
Yes.
And the transactional world.
Yes.
But I continue to live in ignorance.
Yes.
But from this waker's world into Karmapika world,
yes,
that the transfer happens because of the support that I derive from consciousness.
Yes.
My understanding, my realization of the true nature. So with the support of consciousness, that is operative in the world of Maya too.
Yes.
Or the power of Maya also gives me the insight or helps me to do it, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
So though Krishna says, I don't exist in the world, but the world is supported by the consciousness of
correct. Yes.
That's my question.
Correct. Even though he's at one level, it is supported. That is why you have to see it in grades and finally conclude. At one level, there is the support, just as the gold support the ornaments. The clay supports the pot. Yes. At one level, there is a support. But then what happens in thinking, everybody gets tired and they stop at one level of thinking. Everybody gets intellectually fatigued and they stop at one level. In Vedanta, one thing they don't have is this fatigue. Since they don't have this fatigue, they will go on and on and on till you come to the conclusion. What is the conclusion?
I am
not. Yes, correct. Till you come to the conclusion. What is the conclusion? Aham Brahmasmi. They don't get fatigued at all. All other systems of philosophy is an intellectual fatigue at one level.
Okay.
That is why we accept it at one level. The same Bhagavad Gita accepts it at one level. The same Bhagavad Gita dismisses it at another level. And Bhagavad Gita following the Upanishadic method. This is the classic method of the Upanishads. The Vedic Upanishadic method is you accept it at one level. You prove the fallacy of it at another level. Till they give the first they will try to give you a conceptual clarity to pursue it. Not that out of this class you are going to come out enlightened. But they go through so much of analysis for what? to give you a conceptual clarity so that you can start pursuing it. You follow?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Anything else? Ram Subramaniam. Yes, Ram Subramaniam. What is your problem now?
Sir, so two questions, sir. So one is following up from last week's session regarding a contradiction between chapter 7 verse and current chapter verse, right? So it is about essential nature. That essential nature is me in chapter 7.
Yes.
Because, all beings dwell in me and I do not dwell in them. So I think in the early part of today's session, you said that it means all beings are dependent on me, and I am not dependent on them. Is that the way of understanding and reconciling with that, sir?
Yes, that is the reconciliation.
Okay.
That is the reconciliation. Correct.
Okay.
That's what I said last week. We will sort it out next week. Correct.
Okay. So okay,
so
that is helpful, sir. Okay. The next question is, when we talk about examples like gold as ornament, clay as pot, and so on.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. We are able to understand, and we are able to clearly perceive, clearly understand. Also, it also, if I can say, it also reconciles very well.
Yes.
As we have seen in thesis on God, and also in Bhagavad Gita, like we have talked about Avarna, Vikshayapa, and Mala, right?
Yes.
So, this is regarding the taking of example of snake and rope. So is it not just projection, sir? I mean, as compared to gold as ornament or clay as pot, why are we taking up snakes, rope and snake? It is just a mere projection, no? I mean, it is not coming close to the gold example or the clay example. So just wanted to maybe ask for some more insight on that, sir. So because it makes things more confusing because it's a projection.
Correct.
So
that I'm going to talk about in the next class. That reconciliation I'm going to do, because why the golden ornament and the rope and the snake. I touched upon it very briefly today, but we will do some more of it in the. That's why I said 4 and 5 is not yet finished.
Okay.
4 and 5 we are going to continue. But to answer you today, so that you can sleep peacefully for a week. Gold and ornament removes the cause and effect relationship angle. God is the creator, world is the created. There is a cause and effect relationship. First, you accept the cause and effect relationship, and then you have to remove the cause and effect relationship. So in order to remove the cause and effect relationship, you have to bring in an example. The example that you bring in to remove the cause and effect misunderstanding is the gold and the ornament. In all these, what is accepted? That there is a world. It is accepted that there is the world. So the existence of the world is accepted. Existence of the world is accepted means the duality is accepted. Are you able to follow now? When you accept the word, you accept the duality. Then how do you explain Chandogya Upanishad? Ekam eva dvitiyam. How can you explain Aham Brahmasmi and all that? How can you explain the Maya part, Avarna, Vikshepa and Mala? How do you explain all that? Rope and snake comes and explains that. So the knowledge is explained from one example at one angle. Now we are going to discuss that in the next week. I'm going to elaborate that based on the theories of creation. There are so many theories of creation they give. We'll take up one by one and then finally conclude the highest. And the highest is the rope and snake Gaudapada argument in Mandukya Karika. We are going to conclude that. Are you okay for this week?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? That's all. Okay. With this, we conclude for today and we continue with the 4 and 5 and then we move on to 6.